Joe Biden's Democratic government has been trying to increase taxes for the rich, and it's clear that America's top 1% aren't too happy being taxed higher than usual. Will they respect Biden's new policy? Or will America's billionaires rally against the new government? Make sure to watch until the end to find out what the billionaires are thinking about Joe Biden trying to increase taxes. Biden blasts the billionaires. President Joe Biden recently expressed his displeasure at the growing wealth inequality in the United States in September. He wanted to gain support for the Democrats' new policy agenda, which is seeking to strengthen the nation's social safety net by hiking taxes for the top 1%. So it's clear that the ultra-rich in the country will be facing a tough time if this policy manages to go through. In his speech at the White House, Biden stated that there was incredible growth in the wealth of the richest Americans, even during the pandemic when everyone else was facing an economic crisis. You might not believe it, but he kept stating that large corporations and rich people should quote-unquote pay their fair share in taxes since ordinary hardworking Americans have been cut out of the deal because rich people evade taxes and tried to mistreat the economy. Biden also suggested some sweeping tax proposals included in the Democrats' new $3.5 trillion budget package that will be on the floor for a vote in the next couple of weeks. In this meeting, he also detailed a new proposal that would require banks to report all annual inflows and outflows from their bank accounts to have a minimum of $600 worth of transactions. This would help the Internal Revenue Service keep a track of any potential tax evasions that's happening in the country. What's the new plan like? Did you know that according to a report from the Treasury Department last week, the top 1% of taxpayers did not pay about $163 billion in taxes last year? That is a huge number. The report also stated that the wealthiest Americans are usually the ones evading taxes because they have the means to protect themselves against possible punishment. But now that you know what Biden is trying to achieve, let's talk about his new plan to target high-income Americans. America's new president has decided that he wants to increase the top income tax rate to 39.6% from 37%. But this won't be for all Americans. His policy states that only Americans who are making more than $400,000 per year and $80 billion in the IRS will face this tax hike so that the country can benefit from increased taxes. As you might have expected, Democrats came to Biden's aid and supported him throughout this announcement. They also proposed raising the top capital gains tax from 20% to 25% and the corporate tax rate from 21 to 26.5% so that they could target people who earn more money but try to evade paying taxes. Biden's goal for the next decade. Biden has explicitly stated that he plans on saving America a lot of money in the next decade. Do you know how much money his new tax policy is going to save the country in the next 10 years? The answer is $700 billion. That's right. The Treasury Department has estimated that Biden's plan will reduce the tax gap by bringing in around $700 billion in taxes over the next decade. But even though this seems like great news, some people think Biden's estimate is a little too ambitious. The Congressional Budget Office, for example, stated that the Biden administration's enforcement plans would probably give the country no more than $200 billion in additional revenue in the next decade. The agency also mentioned that taxpayers will always find new methods to evade detection by the law, so the expected returns will probably go down after a few years. The new investments. With the new hike in taxes, corporate rate hikes, and estate tax changes, the Democrats are planning to use the extra tax money to invest in climate programs, education, and health care for the country's citizens. They plan to get an easy vote from the legislation, but they'll have to work harder to convince the Senate. This is because the Senate generally takes much more time to negotiate and edit their version of the bill. What Biden is proposing is basically Biden's annual billionaire tax. This is also called mark-to-market in most accounting circles and has garnered a lot of criticism from financial groups. This is because this tax is incredibly complex to track, so the annual increase of some assets, including property or other non-tradable investments held by billionaires, is difficult to measure. But despite the criticism, Biden legislation will definitely be a positive beginning for tax equality in the states. Will the rich revolt? Even though his legislation is comprehensive, people have already started poking holes in Biden's new proposed policy, but others agree that this was an important step. Did you know that the 100 wealthiest people in the United States have become $469 billion richer since the start of 2012? And due to their newly acquired riches, their combined wealth now amounts to $3 trillion. Elon Musk, Tesla's CEO, is among those who have gained the most money this year. His net worth is largely tied to the notorious Tesla's stock, which has risen by $34 billion since January of 2021. Not just this, America's wealthiest family, the Waltons, are now $23 billion richer since the year started. So people are hoping that including Biden's proposal would strengthen the tax rules on the wealthy and make tax evasion difficult for them. But President Biden is about to find out that raising taxes on billionaires can be more complicated than it seems. For starters, the wealth management industry is quite sure that they'll be able to outsmart the bureaucracy. One wealth manager even predicted that the wealthy will find ways around it. There are too many ways, perfectly acceptable ways, to defer, minimize, or even avoid taxes. So the bill might not do that well, even if it manages to pass without any major edits. Looks like getting rich people to pay their taxes in America isn't an easy job. You'll be surprised to know that wealth managers actually believe that Biden's proposal is more threatening to millionaires than to billionaires. This is because billionaires often can be more relaxed when it comes to dealing with taxes, since they can choose when they want to pay them. Millionaires will probably have to work a lot harder to find clever ways to evade taxes. Is the top 1% panicking? It's clear that the new policy proposal and Biden's speech at the White House have stirred some panic into the environment, especially for the rich. And in the last few weeks, many rich executives and investors have sent emails and held meetings with their money managers out of utter panic. This is because paying capital gains tax could mean more than half of their yearly earnings go to the federal government. This could also mean that their children might be unable to access the wealth that the family has worked so hard to build. Wealth managers mediating these meetings have admitted that many freakouts keep happening during meetings with various clients. And to prepare for a world in which Biden's plans might become reality, wealthy people across the states are now hurrying to have their teams draw up legal documents to act as a safety net if Biden's policy is implemented. The panic is so intense, even tax lawyers are getting swarmed by clients. Some lawyers have already put out the word that they will not take any more clients after this month because they're anticipating so much last-minute business by the end of this year. The wealthy are also talking about shifting their businesses to the tax-friendly Puerto Rico after Biden's proposal passes. Some rich people don't care. There are a ton of reasons why tax experts and lawyers aren't as concerned as their wealthy clients are. This is mainly because activists and wealth managers expect the Biden plan to be significantly altered if it manages to pass Congress. This means we'll probably have a watered-down version of the plan passing if it does manage to make it past the House. The more obvious reason why some rich people just don't care is that the hike in the uppermost tax bracket doesn't matter to them. This is also because 0.01% don't make their money through a salary. Instead, they make it by founding or investing in companies. This means that a lot of Biden's policies aren't as stringent for them as they are for millionaires or rich salaried people. But even then, wealth experts believe that billionaires are not thrilled to hear about this proposal. Regardless of where people fall on a political spectrum, no rich person wants to pay their taxes. This could also mean some of Biden's rich Democrat friends are not going to be supporting his decision. Could this indicate problems for Biden's government in the future? It's definitely possible. Did you know that the wealthy often hire financial aides like wealth managers to preserve their assets? Biden, who's now known as the tax man, has become enemy number one for all rich people in the states. And finding innovative ways to evade paying taxes is all these wealth managers are going to help the rich do. But we can only wait till the end of this year to see if this bill will pass the way Biden wants it to. With that, we'll end this video. Thanks for watching.